No, I do have more than one shirt. I'm just reeling off a few of these videos in one go because yesterday's videos got me fired up, and I haven't changed my t-shirt, and so I'm carrying on. Hey, while we're at it, let's talk about COVID. It seems like that's all anyone talks about these days. I'm blissfully unaware of all the debates around vaccinations and masks and whatever. I just do what I'm told. So I don't have a dog in this fight, except when it comes to teaching and education. And even then, everyone's contexts are different. So what I want to talk about is what COVID has shown me about the role of education in society. Definitely there's a lot of confirmation bias here, so I'll admit that wholeheartedly. But I feel like a lot of people are questioning the very value and benefit of schools to our communities and saying, if the information's on the computer, if kids can access this stuff online, do we need schools? Do we need a physical campus? And this is a growing trend I've seen in people talking about, borderless schools and no classroom schools, whatever. Well, I think COVID it definitely taught me that, yeah, we need schools. That there's a fundamental purpose of schools, which is a physical, safe place that has structure and order to provide to kids to go every day, or Monday to Friday. Now, also, I think we can't escape the economic realities and the economic value of the industrial economic system. A lot of people complain about the industrial economic system, but didn't this contribute to massive rates of improvements in literacy levels? Why is the industrial model of education a bad thing? I don't know. I don't mind teaching 30 kids in rows and columns, like just the physical nature of a classroom with bell times. And I love schools. I love the physical nature of schools. You give me a school from the 1850s, with the big red bricks and like rows and columns and chalkboards. As long as it's got a projector with a screen so I can show images, I'd be happy as Larry. But so what we learned from COVID was the fact that kids need these places to go to. Now, and we might say, well, actually, for a lot of kids, it's a hard time. There's a lot of bullying. There's a lot of issues. Okay, but were those kids better off not going to school? Are the kids that are in danger, are in harm, are coming from troubled backgrounds and who've got a lot of trauma or chaos in their lives? Are they better off not having that place? I'd argue, obviously I haven't researched it properly, but my hunch is, I think they're better off to go to school. Or if you ask my students as well, and I did ask my students, would you rather learn online or would you rather learn in school? Now, out of my class of 13, 11 said they want to go to school. They missed going to school. They missed seeing their friends. These kids spend enough time online. We don't need to be moving out of the classrooms and putting these kids in front of more screens. They get enough of that already. We're already seeing, even in adult populations and the workforce, right? How many people are burning out through screen time and living their lives online, and how dangerous that is to our health. So the idea that we're going to break down the walls of schools and put everyone into online learning is preposterous. And if one thing, that's what COVID taught me. A colleague of mine said, we're having this discussion. I said, look, it's just inevitable that schools are going to fade, and because things are going online. I thought, well, hang on. Just because other industries are moving online, right? So you say, well, you can equate it to, say, bookstores, right? Well, bookstores are failing, and the actually brick and mortar stores are shrinking and dying. And the same thing's going to happen to brick and mortar schools because they're going to online. What about hospitals? Are hospitals suddenly going to go online? You don't need to go to the hospital anymore because all the information we can find about our health, we can go to WebMD and diagnose ourselves? No, it's silly. To say that brick and mortar stores are disappearing and the same thing is going to happen to schools, it's a false analogy. I mean, so schools as a place are a safe, structured place that give kids routine. Now, also, I don't know if I should admit this or not, but being a parent and dropping my kids off at daycare, do you know how incredibly grateful I am to daycare? I have 3 kids, right? 2 of them right now are in daycare. And part of me, I feel sorry. Every day I drop them off and I see them and I wave bye-bye. It breaks me up a little bit. It's like, man, I'm giving the development and the care of my kids to strangers when I feel like as a parent, that's what I should be doing. And then I stop and realize, actually, they would be bored stupid at home because we'd be doing the same thing every day. At daycare, they can get a range of stimulation. They can get exposed to a range of different things and a range of different experiences that I possibly couldn't provide for them at home, right? And I realized that's the exact same thing with schools the older they get. If your kid is coming into my psychology classroom, I can guarantee you, I can expose them to interesting, fascinating stuff, right? Videos and content and knowledge and facts that they would have possibly never come across otherwise. And I pride myself on that. I think that's what good teachers should do, right? We come in and I'm going to take care of you for the hour that I've got you. right? And I'm going to teach you some cool stuff that you otherwise wouldn't learn, and that hopefully one day you will use. And I realized, yeah, that's the value of schools. And it's just an economic reality, right? What's better, to have everyone at home like half an eye on their kid and half an eye on the computer working, or just to have one teacher in front of 30 kids taking care of them, right, while everyone else can go out into the workforce? Now, this might sound like I'm dumbing down the role of teaching into that of a daycare and a nursery, but it's not. But it's just like, that's a fundamental economic reality. And the benefit of the industrialized education system is that, yeah, you can have one teacher take care of 30 kids for an hour. That's a really good, and then their 60 parents, or like all their parents, and whoever else who would otherwise have to take care of them, can go out into the workforce. That's a really good system. That's just a more advanced system of what would have happened in the caves, right? Where, people go out and hunt and gather, and then the children are left behind with the elders or whoever would take care of them back at the cave. We've just advanced that system to suit what we do nowadays. And so COVID really showed that to me. I really hope a lot of people got the same impression. That, did anyone really think, oh, this is fantastic, having my kids at home all day while I try to work? Or even if you had to go off to work, to have your kids at home, self-directed their learning, like self-guiding and trying to self-study and focus? No. And again, I would say that the kids that were most harmed by the closure of schools were those kids in the marginalized, like lower socioeconomic groups. That's what COVID taught me about education. Again, it's my confirmation bias. I love schools. Schools are cool. I've never walked into a school. Now, it's not like I had an amazing time at school as a kid either. I broke the record in my first year of high school for getting kicked out of class because my life was in turmoil in the background. So it's not like, I was a straight A student who just loved schools and then went straight into teaching because that's all I ever wanted to do. No, it's not that at all. I hated school. I was like just your normal, slightly above average achieving kid. And, like I said, I got kicked out of class. Teachers hated me. I turned it around. I went from breaking the record to getting kicked out of class the most to becoming the head boy of the school I went to. Shout out Carberry High School. But anyway, COVID. Schools are fantastic places. They serve an economic function in terms of they allow other people to go out and work while we take care of their kids. And that's not belittling the role of teachers, because while they are in our care, we're going to teach them cool stuff that one day they will use. And it's a safe, structured place that also, some people used to joke, I went to school to eat my lunch and to play. That's a really important function of school, to give kids the opportunity to interact face to face and learn social skills. And, to get teased and get bullied, but overcome it and develop resilience. And then, that's a throwaway statement, right? There's a difference between a little bit of teasing and bullying, by the way, which is far worse online, where no one can see you, than it is actually like in a physical campus of a school. So there's way more protection we can give them there as well. But it's a place to learn how to do things you don't want to do, right? Because that is what success requires all of the time, right? You often have to do things you don't want to do, like to learn how to fail and get back up, and to learn, so many things that schools can offer, and they're not going away anytime soon. And that's what I learned from COVID. Right, I'm going to wrap it up. Bye.